Hey everyone, this is Lori Mueller coming to you on Sunday for another session of Sunday Stampin Dreams, and it is February 27th. It's a short month, and that means we only have one more day, which is tomorrow, February 28th, before this whole month is gone already. So welcome everyone. Hi Julie, so good to see you. I hope it's warm up there. It is really nice here today. We're in the mid 60s. So, hi Kathy, how are you? So, I am coming to you live during my Sunday Stampin' Dreams Facebook Live presentation. And I'm showing you a really cool, fun, and kind of thinking outside of the box, kind of in a way, project that I'm excited to share with you. Hi, Clarine. Hey there, my friend. And I am showcasing a couple of free Sale-A-Bration items that you can get with your purchase. One of them is available for a $50 purchase, and the other one is available for a $100 purchase. So if you have some items that you need to replenish in your crafting area, I suggest that you plug those into an order and get these items for free because they are so beautiful. Especially this special moments stamp set. I love this stamp set, and it's going to be one that's going to stay in my arsenal of sentiments for a really long time, just because it has some unusual sentiments that are not your typical thinking of you or happy birthday, sorry for your loss type of thing. There's some amazing additional sentiments that can also hit your emotions when you're creating a particular card that you can send off to your loved one. So, hey DCNC, hey Mary, how's it going? Thank you for joining me. So if you're catching me live, you're going to see the red button up here. If you're catching me on the replay, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate your visit. And as always, I love and so appreciate everyone that shares my video with others because I want to bring in more friends to join me either live or during the replay that is passionate about paper crafting or who is curious and wants to learn a little bit about stamping and how to make cards and 3D projects, etc. So the items that you can make with paper, stamps, and ink is beyond measurable. Hey Kay, hi Kathy, Carol, so good to see you. Thanks for stopping by, Mary Ellen. So as I said, today is the second to the last day of Sale-A-Bration, and that means that you don't have much time left to make a purchase, get your free items, and be happy that you didn't miss out. So I think on this note, I'm going to go ahead and flip us over. Hey Pam, nice to see you. And I am ready to start stamping. Hope you are too. Let's get going. All right, so we are focusing on this beautiful Daffodil Afternoon designer series paper. And as you can see, there are several patterns in here that are pretty bold, and they're beautiful, of course, but they can really overwhelm a card sometimes, and it's hard to implement those particular patterns into a creation without, totally stealing the show, unless you feature them as part of your showcase and stealing the show in a sense. So I am focusing on this paper, and look at all of the fun examples that you have here to put this paper together. And even this right here uses a lot of those bolder images, or patterns in the paper, but yet it still pulls together really well because they've thrown in a couple of subtle patterns to kind of break it up a little bit. And then there's always this fun pattern right here that you can create, just chop it up and add it to your card front for an easy card. And it's beautiful as well. Throw in a couple of embellishments, a little sentiment, and I even see a little butterfly die cut that they've added here. Super beautiful. So this is available for a $50 purchase. And then I'm focusing on the Special Moments stamp set right here, right there. Photopolymer, 21 images, and again, in this catalog, there are a number of samples here that showcase the variety of sentiments that are available in this catalog. So I am having more fun with this stamp set, and I'm going to focus on for someone who is wonderful in each and every way. I have so many friends who have made such an impact on my life that I have so many. I mean, I'd be creating in a massive bulk to thank everyone that has entered into my life. So we're going to focus on that. And here is our lovely card. And I'm going to showcase the technique that is kind of using one of these patterns and cutting it up to kind of break it up. And it's kind of like a window technique, a raised window, because we're using window sheets, and we're popping it up so that you can see a slight coloring of your background through this window. Kind of reminds me of like vertical blinds in a way. Just need a little drawstring here, right? And then it kind of would rotate for you. So when they are closed, with a little bit of opening, you can still see the outdoors, right? And then because this pattern has some pear pizzazz, some flirty flamingo, pale papaya, I'm implementing all of those colors together in this creation. And then I'm throwing in some of this flirty flamingo metallic ribbon. And I tell you what, this is the first time I've used it, and oh my gosh, it is lovely to tie a bow in. I was visioning this ribbon to be kind of a stiffer material, but oh, I was totally thrown off how soft and subtle it is. It is just beautiful, and just, yeah, if you don't have it, you really need to get some. It is just gorgeous. And then I like to, for the most case, use a coordinating color from my card for my sentiment, to ink it in one of those colors. But because I have a multitude of colors tied into my color palette, black just seemed to be the right color, and it really complements the background of the daffodil paper that you see here. But of course, if you know me, I love to emboss. So I don't know if you can, I can't seem to get the glare of, oh, maybe right there. There we go. It's embossed. Oh, yes. And I love, the texture that you get from that as well. Now, this little shape, you must be wondering, I'm sure, where it comes from. And it is from the Beautiful Shapes dies. It is available in the January through June mini catalog, and you get all of these different shapes. Now, oh my gosh, I am praying that this die set goes on to the next annual catalog, because it is amazing. We don't have a whole lot of shapes that are outside of your rectangles and circles, and we don't even have ovals. So, to have, shapes like this is really needed in my arsenal. I love having unusual shapes. And so here is where I got that particular shape. And then, of course, I threw in a couple of the matte dots and did a stitched rectangle frame to kind of close it all together. And then also used the beautiful gingham embossing folder to give it a little bit of texture for the background. So it kind of, I don't know if you if you look at it with a certain vision, kind of like an Aztec-y type background. So, you know, if anybody who's living in Arizona or Nevada or whatever, you have, you know, kind of an Aztec background with daffodil flower beds, right? So, but anyway, this is the beautiful card that we are going to create today, and let's get started. So we have our supplies here, and instead of rattling them off, I did write down all of the measurements for you that you can take a little snippet, and then also the embellishments and the extra tools that I used for today's project. So there you go. So to start with, we are going to do some of our embossing first, our dry embossing. So we'll bring in our gingham embossing folder, and it's not a 3D one, so you don't need the special plate number 4. And I'll go ahead and line that up here in a moment. So our sandwich will be simply the plate number 1. So plate number 1, we'll put a cutting plate down and then line up our paper. Because there are direction, you know, that would play havoc with your eyes, I want to make certain that I have my sheet of cardstock in here nice and straight. And then we're going to lay that down here, add another cutting plate on top, and then we will run this through. Now this size of embossing folder won't fit through the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, so I've got my big one here today. All right, there we go. And the fun thing about this texture is that you can get a 2-for-1. So either you have the raised areas here, or when you flip it around, you have, you know, it's just the opposite. So basically they look about the same. It just, yeah, it's really not a 2-for-1, because whatever is depressed or de-embossed there is going to be embossed on this side. So it does look the same whether you have it one way or the other. So we'll lay that together, and we'll go ahead and attach it to our card front. And I've already scored my card base at 5.5, so it measures 4.25 by 11, and then scored at 5.5. And we can go ahead and attach this using liquid glue, because I don't want to worry about the pressure of adding Stampin' Seal, because sometimes it can de-emboss what you've already embossed. So we'll go ahead and add that to our card front and take a peek, make certain I've got my edges all even. There we go. All right, so we're done with that part. Set that aside. Next is to bring in our window sheet and our designer series paper. Now you'll see that my window sheet is longer than my designer series paper, but that's because we're going to make multiple cuts and then give it kind of like a 1/16 inch separation in between each cut. All right, so the first thing to do is to cut our designer series paper, and I want to make certain that I have my image in the right direction, so my daffodils point up. And I'm going to line this up and use the measurements over on this side so that I have the long versus coming in this direction and moving over. This way I have everything over on a flatter platform versus having anything hanging off the edge. And so with my measurements, I had mentioned that my designer series paper measured 3 3/8 by 4 1/4, and then I cut in this order. I went a 3/4 cut, a 1/2 inch, a 1/2 inch, 3/4, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4. And that's how I came up with my cut measurements. and you can do it however it works for you. So my first one is 3/4 of an inch, and we'll get this. So I'm going to cut that, and then I'm going to keep this in order over here. And my next one will be at a 1/2 inch. And again, just making certain I'm utilizing the wall over here to keep everything even. So I've got a 1/2 inch. I'll do another 1/2 inch. And then I'll repeat it again at 3/4 of an inch. I'll slide those over, but I want to keep them in order so that my images are not going to get mixed up. It's kind of like a Rubik's Cube, you know, you want to get all your red sides together, your blue sides together. All right, and then we'll do one more 1/2 inch, and then the last piece should be 3/4 of an inch. And just to make certain, there we go. There we go. So I've got my 1/2 inch and then my 3/4 inch. So put those together there and bring those over here like that. So you can see how our paper has been trimmed to make our little window shade. Now I'm going to bring in my piercing mat because it'll give me a better visual of where my window sheet is versus, I don't know, you might be able to see it on here as well. Well, maybe we'll try it on there. I don't know. Let's see if we can, well, you see the glare. All right, we'll do the window sheet like this, and then I'm going to bring in, because liquid glue and the window sheet don't mesh very well, I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Seal and just make certain I have my, there we go. Yep, that's my window, or my correct pattern layout. Do that, and then I'm going to go to the bottom one just to make certain that I am kind of lining things up right, and add some more like that. And then again, I want to kind of go over here and make certain, yep, there we go. I'm putting my pattern the right direction. There we go. Perfect. Now I will carefully add adhesive to this skinny piece. Now, if you haven't had an opportunity to play with this paper yet, oh my goodness, I hope that you'll jump on board and grab some, because each week when I do a presentation, I offer 4 free card kits utilizing the stamp set or the bundle that I'm focusing on with my presentation. And it just requires a $35 order, and you'll get 4 free card kits. And as long as you use this host code right there, I will know that that's what you are hoping to, or that you're gearing for, that you're wanting the 4 free card kits with your order. All right, there we go. And we'll add, I'm gonna give it another shot because this is open. I want to make certain that all the edges are laying down and not going to get caught on something. And like that. And we got 2 more half pieces. And the Stampin' Seal is it works out really great to add your pieces to the window, because if you do have one of your pieces upside down, it is possible to remove your slip of paper from the window sheet. So with liquid glue that I love so dearly, it just wouldn't dry in a timely manner. And let's see, I think I'm not giving it enough space. Or maybe, yeah, I bet I'm not giving it enough space. So here's my example of removing my pieces. See how that worked? Yeah, I'm just not giving it enough spacing in between my pieces. Let's see if I'm, there we go. We'll do, and look how nicely that peels away. Just have to be patient. You don't have to heat, the window sheet up, to get it warm or anything like that. You can, I want to get some of that, there we go. Because sometimes you can warm it up when it's on a piece of cardstock and kind of loosen it up. But with this, you don't have to. The window sheet will peel away for you just fine. All right. So today's bloopers, I should have lined my sheets up before I started adhering, because then I'd have a better idea of where everything sat. But there we go. And one more to kind of level things out a bit. And there we go. All right. So much better. There. See? Perfect. All right, next up is to do a little bit more die cutting because we want to make our little pear pizzazz frame. So let's set that aside, and I'm pulling in my stitched rectangles, and I'm using the two that are the second and the third one from the outside from my set. I love making frames, so I've already attached them together with washi tape so that I'm certain that they are already centered and will not move when I run them through my die cutting machine. All right, so let's get our frame, put our sandwich back together. We need plate number 2, we need a cutting plate, and then add our cardstock and dies, and I'm putting it at an angle to eliminate the huge speed bump that is caused on a straight edge. So I'm gonna put that in there, and then you won't hear that loud kerplunk at the beginning or at the end. Nice and quiet. So if you're crafting in the middle of the night, you're bound to not wake up anybody with the alarm. Okay, so I'll peel that away. And then the fun is that you get a bonus die cut in the center, so you want to save that for another time. And then this is our little frame right there. Love, love, love. So we can now attach this frame to our floral. Isn't that beautiful? Just the separation of those daffodils really kind of tones it down, I think. And plus it adds a little fun to the creation. All right, and then I'm using liquid glue because of one thing, it's so narrow that my Stampin' Seal would have adhesive on the outer edges and would make a mess. There we go. So we have our window casing per se. All right, and get it down here, get all the edges. Perfect. Next up is we're going to add the ribbon first because then I can work with the dimensionals around my ribbon. So I'm going to add this beautiful, oh, just look at how lovely. It's not, like I said, I was kind of deceived in thinking that it was a nice, stiff ribbon, but yeah, not at all. Beautiful ribbon. So I'm going to tie this into a bow, and we'll go about right there. Do the 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock, and then add a loop like that. And then you kind of want to wait to do your final cinching of the center knot when you have your bows all kind of arranged the way you like. And then I'm going to give it a little bit of an angle cut and do the same right here. Oops. There we go. Beautiful. All right. Now we can add this to our card front. Let's do this little shifting over a little bit. But we're going to add our dimensionals. And I'm using mini dimensionals here. For one, I've used up all my big ones from this particular package. So I'm going to hone in on using up my minis. And I'm using black because no one's going to be able to see through my project because of the darker colors. Now, if I were using very vanilla or white, I would definitely use my white dimensionals on that. All right, so I'm gonna add, because I want to make certain I have some good stability on my project. And you get so many dimensionals here. And I'll do this, that. And for whatever reason, I can seem to get these off fairly quickly. As long as they don't stick inside my nail. So I hope everybody is having a wonderful weekend. I know that the blast of cold air that we had here in Nebraska has now made its way to the East Coast and has probably brought in some more snow, which we really need the precipitation, but it's just not coming. I mean, we had like a dusting of snow during the cold spell, but that's not going to be enough to help with the crops in the spring or flower beds that everybody is anxious to start putting together. All right, so now here I want to add a little bit more character, and we're going to go a little kitty wampus with this, just like that. Kind of get away from the straight and narrow of our background and just kind of give it a little bit of flair. So we're almost done. Next is to bring in our Flirty Flamingo, and we're going to emboss our sentiment. So I've got Versamark. I have my sentiment that for someone who is wonderful in each and every way. And then what I like to do is bring in my die, because it kind of gives me an area to work around and know that I'm not too high or too low with my sentiment. I'll go ahead and close that up. There we go. bring in my black embossing powder. You want to be liberal with it. There we go. Beautiful. Well, it'll be more beautiful once we heat set this. All right, bring in the heat gun. Hi, Kathy, how are you? So good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. All right, now we're gonna watch the magic. And I like to keep my gun in one area, and when I see it start to melt, then I move it to the next area, like that. And then I like to give it a little bit of a blast on the back. Kind of helps raise that embossing powder even more. And then you get this beautiful raised sentiment that adds a little wow to your creation. All right, so now we're ready to die cut. So bring that in. And now this die has a larger side to it, you know, kind of narrows out. So you could, if you wanted, depending on how you want to put it. I'm gonna do it in this order because the W is pretty prominent and kind of fits nicely with the direction of this die. All right, so now, let's see, I want to get my way, make certain that it's centered there. All right. So now run that through. Now with this particular die, or any of the dies in this beautiful shapes die set, could be done using our mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So all of these dies right here will fit through the mini. So if you don't have the big one, but you have the mini, just know that that set is perfect for the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. All right, so we have that. Now we are ready to add some dimensionals. And I want to avoid adding the dimensionals to the ribbon area. So I'm going to start with those and then add dimensionals right along the ribbon area. And I think I'm gonna add more. I love dimension. All right, so in this way I know that I'm missing the landing of these dimensionals on the ribbon, because even though this ribbon is fairly thin, it's not glued down, for one, and it does add a little bit of height to your image or your sentiment that would make it look a little different. All right, so I want to get my ribbon there. I can kind of shift my ribbon to get my bow over just a little bit more, like that, because my sentiment was starting to work its way off the card. And I think, there we go. So here we have it. Two wonderful and beautiful cards that showcases the technique. And now these window sheets, you can get two 12 by 12 sheets in a package for $5, and so you can get a lot of mileage out of them, and plus they're good for shaker cards, and you can even stamp using our black stays on ink on the window sheets for another effect. But just beautiful, and it's a great way to kind of break up the boldness of this designer series paper. There are other patterns, as I mentioned. You could give it a try, and then with the color palette of that designer paper that's available in here, you can change up your color palette. So there's so many different colors in there that would do the same thing that I shared with you here. So again, if you want the 4 free card kits, it'd be 2 designs, 2 of each. Just place your order. using this host code on go to my blog at stampindreams.com, place your minimum order $35, and then I will send you the card kits with the tutorial in the mail to you. So, all right, why don't we flip back around and see if you have any questions. Will be Linda. Thank you. That is just so refreshing and very heartwarming to know that you enjoyed the card, that you're going to case it. So yay, I love it, love it. That's why I share. So I hope you are inspired to run off to your craft room if you're not already there and pull out those supplies. If you don't have the supplies, I'd appreciate if you shopped with me. And if you have minimum $35, you get a free card kits, and then bump it up to $50 if you need the designer series paper to go along with this. And then also it's applicable to any sentiment. So that layout is so beautiful for a birthday card, a sympathy. Congratulations, it is open to any occasion. Now, if you wanted to make it a masculine, you would choose, some different colors, probably not the pinks, but there are some subtle patterns in the Daffodil Afternoon designer series paper pack that could easily be used for a masculine card too. So the gamut is open for everything. So hey, Clarine. Oh, that's funny. You're so cute. I love you. And so, oh, Kathy, I used the gingham embossing folder. It's available in the January through June mini catalog. So, yeah, if you don't have that embossing folder, you need to get it. It's really, at first I wasn't too keen on it, but until I started seeing the textures, it's really applicable to a lot of different layouts and is really subtle. It kind of reminds me, not really like the brick background, but yet it's kind of like the brick background. So it's an option to that particular folder. So, but if you have any questions, please leave your comments and I will answer them as soon as I can. And I appreciate you stopping by, spending part of your afternoon with me. So until then, I will see you next Sunday for another session of Sunday Stampin' Dreams. And I wish you a great day. Have a great afternoon and see you later. Bye.